Hello, everyone. In my previous video, I tried to make a comprehensive timeline of how it is that corporate powers captured government and used this newfound power to abuse and extract from essentially everyone: nature, uh, the taxpayer, their employees, and I tried to make it as comprehensive and as, let's say, generous as I possibly could. I didn't want to completely put the blame on boomers because it's not completely their fault, although they did pick up that torch, so to speak, and ran with it. And imagine doing that and in the comments, I got into an argument with this older gentleman, a Gen X gentleman, and it was quite fantastic. We were having a cordial back and forth about how he disagreed with me on the premise that boomers made things worse. He said that they made things too easy, and I was like, no, I can't let this one get away. So we had a lot of back and forth, and I think we came closer together. And in one of those back and forths where I was explaining like why it is that in fact things are a lot worse right now and things are very hard for millennials and my generation, Gen Z, and the generations that are going to come forward, we had this little amazing comment. Okay, is precisely thought out thesis. Why do you believe you shouldn't have to work hard? Ladies and gentlemen, many a boomer's unfiltered glorp shit opinion. And it's sad that it's not rage bait. And it's sad that a lot of people actually, like, whenever you try to question the status quo, this is just the answer. This is like, well, you don't believe you should work hard. And so I'm going to go over my response to him. He didn't respond to my response because I kind of got a little bit heated and I kind of went full keyboard warrior, and I was gonna head to bed, but I ended up writing this huge Bible. And I'm gonna use my response as somewhat of a script for this video. So I think we should get right to that. But before that, this video is brought to you by me, Kirby, also known as Andy, but I'm known as Kirby online mostly. Um, if you guys want to support, there's going to be in, I think, a pinned comment a link to my Ko-fi and my Ko-fi and my Patreon. Anywho, I responded to him with, "That's such a silly question. Nobody believes that. Passionate work is a virtue. Hard work can be great if there is a fair exchange, a square deal, and a social contract. The idea that we should let exploitation, corruption, and environmental abuse continue for an economy that only serves those invested in it and leverages their investment in it to manipulate people and politicians is absurd to me. It is an insult to human dignity." And I'm going to take a little pause here just to talk about that, right? I will say this, you know, this is a scripted answer. And I don't mean like that this is a bot or like he was fed a script. This is programming. I left in the pinned comment of the previous video, and I'll see if I can add it to the pinned comment in this one. Someone who made a fantastic, extremely high quality video, way more high quality than mine, about the Gilded Age in American history, and how they what these people thought about the workers and the middle class and the lower class and the working class. They thought of you as a drone that should stay below them and never say a thing, right? When they lost power at the turn of the millennium, when they lost that power and Teddy Roosevelt took office and sort of took it all away from them and monopoly busted them, and he sort of historically told Rockefeller, "You are not bigger than the United States," right? And then proceeded to bust his company down into what, 20, I think it was 21 different companies. That's how big his company was, that now had to compete with each other and could not collude with each other, right? When that happened, there was the beginnings of some schemes, right? Because then entered an era of American solidarity, right? Americans that were already quite motivated by solidarity, right? They unionized, they really went hard into fighting the machine and fighting the corruption, because at this stage America had become extremely corrupt and corporations could deploy deploy like national forces to stop protesters, right? And so what we had was just absolute tyranny by corporations in the United States, probably even worse than it is right now. But we're definitely heading in that direction, and even worse with the technologies that they have available to them now. However, while there was a flourishing of American, let's say, pride, and a flourishing of Americans and fair wages in a way that really didn't affect the companies that negatively. They just didn't want to give them. And so, and competition that was really good for everyone, essentially. They were working on a scheme. And once the progressive era of politics of the Republican Party ended. So that was after, I think it was Theodore Roosevelt and the two presidents after him after the last one left office. They sort of bounced right back in and they had a plan. And the video that I was talking about, the one that talks about the Gilded Age, talks about the outline that I didn't know it was Rockefeller. I knew that the outline for the education in the United States and in the world essentially was based off of a system that was made to train and groom future soldiers, right? And Rockefeller repurposed it into something that would groom and train worker drones, essentially. And they started on this project of educating people using the mass media to propagandize. Oh, corporations are the good guys. Millionaires, billionaires are the good guys, okay? They're the moral. They have so much because they're so good. That's why they have so much. And it was this constant wave of propaganda towards boomers and Gen Xers during that time, and the education system that was designed to make them compliant workers, that we still have now, by the way. And that is exactly where this mentality comes from. That's one of the reasons why I like to say that they're victims too, right? Because uh, the gentleman I was talking to, the Gen X gentleman, he he seems like someone who worked extremely hard. He said how he worked 70 hours, and then on the weekends would 70 hours a week, I think, trucking, and then would also pick up on the weekend to do farm work in order to sort of get himself back on his feet, right? Because he lived a hard life, and that is sort of actually kind of one of the tragedies of Gen Zs. If you look at the old list, you remember how they used to have the lists of like the characteristics of each generation. One of the things when it comes to Gen X is how good they were at generating revenue. And one of the tragedies of it is they, for the most part, didn't really get to see that revenue until the chosen few of them got to inherit the machines that were being left to them, right? But for the most part, they were some of the best. They were the best generation for generating revenue. Essentially, they were really diligent workers. They worked really well. They were compensated okay, but compared to the amount of value they generated, they not even close, right? And so this actually, it's one of those really, if you look at the 20th century, right, like the era of demoralization, like Gen Xers were so bright-eyed and they believed a lot in their in the like quote unquote like corporate industrial American dream that was sold to them by these powers that were like desperate to claw their way and essentially corrupt the country. But it really did generate a lot of wealth for a little while, and it made life good for a little while, and they're sort of attached to it, and so they have to defend it. So when people say, why do you believe that you shouldn't have to work hard, even though I never said anything about not working hard, that is one of those reasons. Anyway, let's continue on. This is something Americans fought for and gained multiple times in history, and the change came fast sometimes, like at the end of the 1900s when American workers brought an end to the abhorrent Gilded Age. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, right? The change was really fast. It's not like it took like multiple administrations to do it, because before that, the system was extremely slow. Um, and Teddy Roosevelt thought, why should I just sit here and wait for a corrupt system to like pass laws and stuff like that? I need to step up my game and set a moral framework for the people. Um, and that's what he did. The problem is that system that was set up only works if the people in charge are moral people. Too bad. But that's where you come in. That's where informed voters come in. And that's where the fault of the boomers and Gen X come in as well. The people they voted for were of bad moral character. And they were warned. There were constant warnings. People constantly tried to tell them that these people were of bad moral character. And these movements were of bad moral character. And that Wall Street was trying to take over. And they did not listen because things were good, right? And so if things are good, why would you listen? Going on, and the decay and abuse is getting worse. Why don't you care about that? We have less than half the buying power, more like 1/4, and housing is 8 times more expensive than it was for boomers. It is going to get worse for my youngest family members. It is going to be worse for my children and their children. So I ask, why don't you care about that? Why is it that the older generation is so apathetic? Why do they want to see the younger generation have to slave away for nothing in return? And I think this is the moral crux of my argument. It's like, why do you care so much if I believe or don't believe people should work hard? Like, aren't you seeing the injustices that are being done to people? But then I move on to say millennials work extremely hard. By and large, they did. And the only ones amongst them that were rewarded heavily were the ones that lied and cheated, the ones that made pump and dump scams and agreed to sell their souls and demonstrate they were willing to exploit their fellow man. Right? Millennials and Gen Z were told to learn to code for the American dream and work-life balance. Now, programmers are being thrown out like garbage. Even the great ones that work extremely hard because it looks good in a shareholder report and increases stock value, even though the companies are sinking in reality. But the number goes up on the market, and that's the only thing that matters. Meanwhile, the rest of the employees are in a hostage situation. This is the reality of the modern tech industry and a lot of modern industries, right? And so the idea that younger people don't work hard, like millennials work really hard, Gen Xers work really hard, right? They were extracted from mostly. I don't care for the apathy. I hope the younger of my generation and Gen Alpha can live a fulfilling, full life with dignity. I hope millennials can get back up after being knocked down over and over because the system made a lot of promises to them that they didn't intend to keep. The promises being, get a college degree and the benevolent corporations will have you covered. The machine will have you covered. That was a lie. And so I think my argument is sound. And I think the fact that this person never responded to my comment says something. I don't think it was rage bait. It might have been, though. It might have been rage bait. But, man, it is something that we always have to keep in mind. We are supposed to care about each other. That's not efficient. It goes against everything boomers and Gen Xers were taught. Like it is the NIMBY of it all, right? The not in my backyard. As long as it's not happening to me and mine, it's okay. Actually, Everyone is me and mine. Okay? I care about the future generations. I care about my neighbor. I care about my fellow man. You are supposed to care if they're being exploited. But they were taught that that's not okay. And they were taught that you should repress yourself. And I think that's one of the reasons that they respond so emotionally and to being criticized, right? Because at the end of the day, for this system, this corrupt system to exist, they had to sacrifice a lot. They had to sacrifice their emotions, their relationships. Like the two or three people that commented on that video that were of the older generation, every single one of them mentioned their divorces as like a canon event. It's like, that's not normal. That is part of the moral decay. That is part of the human decay. That is part of the fact that your family and you being attentive to your friends and family and community isn't efficient, and the machine doesn't want that. It wants you to fucking work. It wants to exploit you. It does. It's not hard work. It's exploitation. Okay? It's a fallacy. This is it's a psyop. Okay? It's not hard work. Is just a buzzword. It's something that their brain it comes into their brain when they're questioned. And so I just wanted to go through that. I think that I I think that we can come together and make things better. I think a better world is completely possible at this stage, right? I think we're right at the cusp of it, right? Especially in America, where faith in the traditional two-party system has sort of collapsed. And so that's actually a really good thing, right? Because most of my people that I know that were MAGA, like original MAGA, not like second term MAGA, right? And MAHA, uh, despise what Trump is doing, and they despise that he's getting along with the traditional rhinos of the Republican Party. But they also view the Democrats and see, wow, they're clowns. This is a clown show. Both sides are a clown show, and so this might be a really good point to cut that off. Just cut them off and start fresh. But yeah, I hope I want to know what you guys think about this, because I think it's important. And I think that it's important to see the older people, because somebody commented in my video that like he doesn't see how boomers were victims. He only sees them as perpetrators. And many others share a similar sentiment. And yes, they are the perpetrators of what is going on right now. They had every chance to change course and they didn't. Like, I used to have a meme with a friend. It's like their parents are like crying about like something, like how bad everything is, and they're like, well, you didn't vote for Ron Paul, he would have made anime real. And then like because I don't know if you guys have seen the meme, I'll try to find it. But yeah, like they had the chance to take the moral stance. They had the chance to take the stance that would give them a balance of human dignity and being a real human with real human needs that should be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor, or make sure that the future generations are slaves. And they chose letting the future generations be slaves for their expedient gain. But remember, don't try your best not to hate your fellow man. Hate is the absence of love, and without love, there is nothing. There's no wisdom. There is no knowledge. There's no true knowledge, and so keep that in mind, okay? And be empathetic. And I was watching a Sargon video, and there was like he was like he sort of felt bad because he was empathizing with people that were his enemies. It's like, don't feel bad for that dude. That's such a modern thing. No. Yes, I can empathize with my enemy. Am I going to stop them from self-destructing? Well, I don't know. Depends. But it's okay to empathize with their enemy. It's okay to love your enemy and to recognize that they're humans. It doesn't mean you should let them win. But yeah, no, like be good to one another. And God bless you all. Remember my Patreon, Ko-fi down below. I'll also leave a link to my hobby channel where I do like gaming, and talk about anime, Pokemon cards and stuff. um, like a thoughtless consumer. I don't buy the scalp anything scalp, by the way. I don't do that. That's that's immoral. I would never. And so yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon because I'm doing that LinkedIn video right after recording this one, and so talk to you guys.